my love was always for cooking, and I just wanted to be with Dad and the family at the restaurant. I loved everything about it. It wasn't being a waiter as such. It was more about the cooking part. That's where my heart lies, and still does to this day, in the kitchen.
Hi, everybody. You're with Dani Valent and you're listening to Dirty Linen. We talk food. We dig in. Sometimes we get messy and full and happy, all the good things. Sometimes we talk about tough stuff as well, but I feel like today's conversation will be full of joy. It is so important in this life to celebrate milestones, and it can be difficult to do so because we are all so busy, caught up in the day-to-day. Sometimes it's things slide by. We don't take stock. We don't reflect. But today we are definitely doing that. And we are inspired by Adriano Cea, who is part of the family that runs Geppetto Trattoria in East Melbourne. Geppetto is celebrating 45 years. That is incredible. Adriano, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Thank you very much, Dani. A pleasure to be on.
So good to have you on the show. Geppetto is such an institution over the road from the MCG, sort of just between the city and Richmond, in really a busy spot. A lot of people would go past the restaurant and perhaps have been doing so for decades without having stepped through your doors. But tell us, what is at the heart of Geppetto? What's it all about?
I think the heart of Geppetto is that I should start with Dad. Dad opened up in 1981 with a vision of, I suppose, bringing a slice of his upbringing from Italy to Melbourne hospitality, which is, I suppose, a sort of an unpretentious, warm, an inviting environment which welcomes all walks of life. And he had his eye on the place actually for a couple of years whilst he was working in quite a few of Melbourne's earlier restaurants, in particular along Lygon Street and Carlton and all that area. For some reason, this particular spot in East Melbourne really attracted him, and he actually mentions quite often that he told me for a couple of years he used to drive past and look at the little strip of shops there in East Melbourne and visualize that one day he would hope to open his own place. And a couple of years later, it came up for lease, and he decided to open up with his best friend in 1981.
I love that. So his name is Nino. So where does the name Geppetto come from?
Geppetto is from a famous Italian folklore, but you would have heard of the story of Pinocchio. But Geppetto is the craftsman that made Pinocchio. So it's Pinocchio's father.
I mean, that's a really resonant name in itself, like just to, I guess, imbue the restaurant from the beginning with that sense of craft and making, but also perhaps, the things that you create are sometimes a little unruly and don't always do everything that you tell them to.
Very much so.
Tell us about your dad. Like, is he from the chef's side, from the front of house side? Does he just love hospitality? Tell us about Nino.
Papa, or Nino, I should say, is he's a very humble, hardworking, honest man that everyone just loves. It's like no matter, whenever Nino comes out, in particular to the dining room, it's like a show. Oh, Nino's here, he comes out, and I think he's a bit more famous than he knows. Everyone knows his name, and he pretends to know everyone else's name, but he just really enjoys, in particular, the last few years as he's aged more than ever. He just loves seeing people enjoy themselves and be comfortable out dining in our little restaurant, which does feel a little bit like a lounge dining room as such, because it's a small room, what have you. But for Dad, he just keeps things simple. He keeps things simple in the way that we operate our place, in the way that we present our food, serve our food, the way we go about day-to-day business, from, him going to the market every morning, seeing what he likes, bringing it in, speaking to the chefs, and just creating a dish on the day, which in turn becomes our specials of the day. But he just enjoys the day-to-day part of running a business. And it's something that I think because I've spent my whole life there. Dad's had the restaurant since I was born. It's just something that he's very, very proud of. And in his words, he calls it his baby. And yeah, it means a lot to myself and my family. Absolutely. But he's a star. He's very much loved and very, very proud of what he's been able to do.
How old is he now?
He just turned 74. But he's fitter than all of us. He's up at the crack of dawn. He's at the markets. He's going fishing before work. He's really, really in form, and it puts us all to shame. It's quite embarrassing, actually.
Paint a picture for us. Like, what happens at the market? What might he come in with, and how might that turn into a dish for a customer?
So, for example, like we close Sunday and Mondays. So Tuesday morning is a big one. So that's the big shop to set up for the week. He'll start at his local markets. So he lives in Coburg. So, Coburg, Brunswick, Preston. He'll head to the markets and start with, the butcher. So depending on what the butcher tells him, Nino, you should be having this, because he's there every day. He's, sort of well known, and they almost tell him what to buy. And they'll be like, look, I got this fresh ossobuco or oxtail or rabbits. We try to serve up things that are a little bit different, offal or gamey meats and all that sort of stuff. So he'll go into his world by 6, 7 a.m. and he's there starting to buy his meats. Then he'll probably move on to the fish stores, and it's a bit of an event. When I do go with him, which is very rare, I'm very rarely up at 6 a.m. That's not my time of the day. But if I do go, it's like an event that he just sort of waltzes through and just decides what he feels like doing that day. And then with that, essentially, he'll bring that to work, speak to the chefs, and they'll just adapt accordingly. They'll be like, okay, let's do this for lunch, and away we go with the prep. Our customers have become accustomed to that. So they're just like, I'm on the floor as a waiter. So they'll be like, what's Dad brought in today? And that's enough. They don't even ask for the menu. They'll just be like, what fish has he brought in? And sometimes, if they're lucky, Dad does go fishing and he'll bring in the fish that he caught, and they'll be like, what's Dad caught today? And sometimes it's like literally, a couple serves of garfish or calamari or something like that. And it excites people because it's something a bit different. But once he's in at work, then from there he's in his element where, he's not really on the tools as much. He doesn't do service as much, but he's just there. He's that presence where he's, ensuring that the recipes are still being followed to as Nonna or grandmother had written them 45 years ago. We still honor those recipes. It means a lot to us. We cook a lot of dishes that we grew up eating, to be honest. Mm.
So you just paint such a beautiful picture, Adriano. And, as you mentioned, the restaurant is the baby, but you were a baby and the restaurant was already there. So tell us about growing up in this hospitality family.
My earliest sort of memories are, I remember watching Dad in the kitchen. By the time that I was born, Dad had already moved from the floor into the kitchen. So that's where he began his passion of cooking. And I remember coming in as a family, and I used to just stand in my little spot in the kitchen, just watch him cook from, honestly, I reckon I was 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. And from that age, I had fallen in love with cooking. I always was fascinated by him, and in particular, probably more so my grandparents, because I grew up with them. And they were just the best cooks. We were blessed to have such amazing women cooking all this Southern Italian food. But watching Dad in the restaurant is something that I think over the years I built this incredible love for, that I think I knew in the back of my mind one day that I would be there. But I have to say, a lot of a lot of people along the way tried to do everything they could not to get me in hospitality because it's a hard sector, and they saw what he was going through and the amount of hours and the stress. But I I thought I'd go down another path with, uni and all that, but it just wasn't for me. My love was always for cooking, and I just wanted to be with Dad and the family at the restaurant. Uh, I loved everything about it. It wasn't being a waiter as such. It was more about the cooking part. That's where my heart lies, and still does to this day in the kitchen. Yeah.
What about the connection with customers? Geppetto has a lot of regulars. I mean, there are always visitors coming to Melbourne, people finding the restaurant for the first time as well. But tell us about, some of the connections that you've built up with community over the years.
It's just incredible. I don't live in East Melbourne, but I absolutely feel like a local. They are an incredibly tight-knit community where from the moment I park my car down the street, I've already said hello to 5 people before I get in the restaurant, people walking past. It's just this amazing vibe in a very exclusive, tucked away area, which, like you said before, a lot of people will drive past East Melbourne and they don't even know it's a suburb. People say, is it Eastern Melbourne? Like, no, East Melbourne is a suburb, which, given where it is, basically on Flinders Street, the continuation of Flinders Street, a lot of people don't know where we are, but the locals definitely do. And the connection we have with our customers is incredible. We have all walks of life coming through that old creaky door at the front, and we treat everyone the same, whether you're a first timer or someone a bit more famous or what have you. Everyone gets treated the same, and I think that's part of its charm, that when people come to Geppetto's, they get the Geppetto experience. Doesn't matter who's working, who's on the floor. If it's myself, my wonderful staff, my dad, they'll get their own experience, and they know that they'll be spoiled because we really do appreciate them and love what we do.
I think, as much as you must see families grow and change and, you're there to help them with their celebrations, they've also watched you grow up. What is it like to I guess, have these eyes on you?
From the time I transitioned out from the kitchen onto the floor, I struggled with it, to be honest. I think I'm a very private. I used to be quite embarrassed, and it was a bit hard for me to come out onto the floor because there were big shoes to fill. I was young. I was only 22, 23 when I sort of made my way out into the floor. But once that had passed, now I get to share those memories with them. So a lot of the conversations and fun that we have is talking about the past, now I'm serving kids that I remember holding as an infant who are now coming in on dates or with their friends or 18th birthdays. And it's just crazy. It's just, I've got a couple in particular that, have been coming in weekly, monthly for 20 years, and they're grown adults. And it's just crazy. It's just like, where did that 20 years go? And I just love it. You see them walk in the door. It's just, it really does fill your heart. It is difficult, the industry that we do. And there's some days which you're like, oh, this is too much. I can't handle this. And then service starts and you see the people and they just make you happy. We just love it. I just love it. I'm very, very lucky. Yeah.
So as we've mentioned, 45 years in business, incredible. Tell us what you're doing to mark the milestone.
So June the 1st is our actual birthday. That was the day it opened in 81. And there was a particular dish that was on the menu from day dot, which is called pasta mista. Essentially, it's just a sharing platter or a trio of pastas, which are served on the sharing platter, which is often what we do at home as well for family gatherings. And it's just sort of put in the middle of the table and everyone eats from that platter. So you serve, and sometimes we serve it ourselves, the staff, but it's more we like to see people doing it themselves. We want people to feel like they are in their living room and able to serve our food and create this family feel versus individual plates and entrees main. It's just a big plate of pasta, a couple glasses of wine, and and away you go. So we said we'll bring that back for next week, as a lot of people still do request it often. But what we decided to do is just to do it at $19.81, just in honor of the opening year, and also we're going to bring back the old Italian mocha, which Dad used to say that was well before we had a coffee machine, but it was unlimited coffee. You ordered one and then you could stay the whole night. In those days, you could smoke in the dining room. I can't imagine that anymore. But so it's going to be a big sharing plate of pasta, mocha coffee to honour what it was like in that first year, or those first few years.
And is Nino looking forward to this celebration?
Very much, very much. He's he's brought in the old mocha, the coffee mocha ones, which hadn't been used for a while, the big ones that we used to use. And he's like, I want to come out, I want to serve people, I want to be a bit more involved for this, because it's a special one, and I think he's very much invested in what we're doing. It's just a little campaign. I mean, it's just for a week, but I think it's probably more for us and our regulars. They'll be like, oh yeah, we haven't seen that for a while. We want to be a part of it, and the bookings are coming through, and it's nice to see. I've had some wonderful feedback. We've sent it out to our followers and our newsletter people, and the feedback's been great. So it's going to be a big week.
Absolutely love it. I think, we're reflecting, we're nostalgic, thinking about, the restaurant's origins, but, you also, very much in 2026. And as you say, hospitality's not an easy game. I mean, tell me about that, that sort of balance, or holding those two things, the difficulty of being in business, but the joy of looking after people and, following your passion. Like, how do you sort of hold these two realities at the same time?
Personally, I struggle with it at times. I think more so for the back end stuff. It's more the logistics of running the business versus actually doing what we love, of cooking food and serving it and hosting people. I find that's the easy part. It's more the back end stuff, which is the time consuming, the boring, the deflated, the stressful part of it, the spreadsheets and all that. I don't particularly enjoy it, but I know that if that's done right, then it allows me to do what we do out the front and in the kitchen. But myself personally, I'm not very tech savvy. I'm not great with, even social media and stuff like that. It's not my gig, but I've got a wonderful team that allow me to use their skills to help me to do that stuff, to allow me to focus on what I love doing, which is the food and hosting and all that stuff. But when it comes to online booking systems and all that stuff, I hate it, to be honest. I think it's the least enjoyable part for me. But now that we've got it all set up, it allows us to truly focus on being hospitable and doing what we do at Geppetto. Yeah.
Do you think hospitality has changed much since 1981? I mean, of course, we didn't have online booking systems. We didn't have social media. Didn't have an email database in 1981. But, what do you think, apart from those obvious things, like what's changed and what stayed the same?
I think it's hard for me to compare in the whole hospitality sector. I mean, Geppetto is my world, so that's all I've really seen. As you said before, from the online bookings, I mean, I had a written diary up until about 5 or 6 years ago. So it was, phone calls or emails, and everything was done by hand, allocate tables. And because that's all I'd ever known, I was more comfortable doing that than having an automated booking system which allocated tables, because for me it was a nightmare. It was like, oh no, we can't put Mr. Perry on that table because he needs to sit there, and we can't put him upstairs and all that stuff. It was hard to adapt to. I held off for many years, and everyone's like, how can you not have a booking system? I was like, why would I? It's so much easier for me to just do it all by hand. But once I was convinced, it's like, okay, this is what an upgrade. Like what the efficiency was amazing. So we embraced technology as best as we could to be able to then use that other time to continue to grow the business. And I mean, we're you know, as you said, obviously, you know, we've got social media, we've got websites and all that stuff, but at its core, we still hold on to even writing dockets by hand. You know, I'm never going to have an iPad at the table. It's just something that I want to hold on to the core of what we were and what we'll continue to be. People love that. Even taking orders without docket books, people love that. Like, you're going to remember that. But we take our job seriously. You know, that's what we call sort of professionalism. We like to do that. We like to show people that we love what we do. Yeah, it is. But they're essentially at Geppetto, not too much has changed. I mean, we've even got staff. My chef's been with me for 22 years, and it's just incredible to have grown with him the whole time. Learn from Dad, learn from all the amazing chefs that have come in along the way that have come and gone. I'm still friends with everyone. They still come in and pop in, and it's just a blessing to be a part of it. Yeah.
So when I come to Geppetto, obviously if your dad's caught a fish, I'm having that. But what are some of the classics that you'd love to feed me?
Do you have any dietary requirements?
I do not.
That sounded like a waiter then. Let's have a look. I would say our strength is slow cooked meats. Offal dishes is a very love or hate dish, in particular with our customers. Like, as we're explaining the specials, for example, yesterday we had crumbed lamb's brains, and people are like, oh, yuck. And then the person next will be like, oh my God, I haven't seen that for years. I want to have that. So if you are keen to try offal dishes, I would say that's something that I would like you to try. But I think slow cooked meats, things when I come in with friends and they'll be like, what are we eating tonight? I normally do that. You got to start off with some sort of fresh pasta. I mean, you can't do Italian without pasta. So probably like gnocchi or filled agnolotti to start with some offal, and then get into our slow cooked meats. Probably the goat is my favorite at the moment. Venison, scallopine, or rabbit. I have people that when we do get rabbit, or when Dad gets rabbit and prepares it, they tell me, call me and we'll come in for dinner. So I've got a group in my phone that says coniglio, which is rabbit in Italian. And when I have it, I message them all. And then throughout the week, they come and have the rabbit. So you got to try the rabbit as well.
Put me on the list, please.
You a rabbit fan?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a ubiquitous animal jumping around our country that we should be doing our best to eat the problem. And it's a beautiful meat when it's cooked well. So I'm absolutely, please add me to the coniglio group. And I got to say, Adriano, I don't think an online booking system can do that. So I feel like we still need the humans.
It's true. I can't create a tag in my online system saying a rabbit people. It's true. There is that connection. Again, that's probably the old school in me where I give my mobile out to people. You know, a lot of people do not even call the restaurant. It would just come to me directly. Table for two, please, tonight. Can I have my table? And I love that, to be honest. It's I remember even on my wedding day, I was in Italy 3 years ago on my wedding day, and someone called me up an hour before the ceremony, and he wanted to book a function with me for that weekend. And I took the function. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in Italy. I'm about to get married now. He's like, and you're taking my phone call? Why wouldn't you tell me? I was like, why not? I was nervous anyway. It took my mind off things.
That is absolutely golden. Now, Adriano, I have saved room for dessert. So we've had the pasta, I've had the brains, I've had the rabbit, but I've still got room for dessert. What are we having?
The classics are there, but I think you've had probably too many tiramisus and panna cottas in your life. I would say Nonna's baked cheesecake, a ricotta cheesecake. Yeah. Because again, it's our recipe. It's our way of doing it with sort of candied orange. But yeah, Nonna's cheesecake is probably the way to go.
All right, I'm all about it. Adriano, just absolutely golden chat. Just love it. Congratulations on the milestone, and so happy that you're celebrating. Yeah, enjoy it. Hopefully you get a chance to, I don't know, do you sing happy birthday to a restaurant when it is a baby?
It's a good idea. What are we going to do? Maybe we need a theme song or something. I'm not sure. I'm going to think about that one. Good idea, Dani.
All right, and we'll have to get Nino on the podcast in the future.
He will just. I think it suits him. It'll just be a conversation, but with his thick Italian accent, which seems to be getting worse the longer he's in Australia. He'll definitely be a hit. Nino's the star, but who knows? One day maybe we'll get him on.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Adriano. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for giving me a chance. Thanks, Dani.
This is Dirty Linen. I'm Dani Valent. We bring you untold stories from the food world. Real, raw, unafraid, hopeful. We're driven by a belief that food provides endless opportunities for learning, connecting, and creating the world we want to live in. Delicious, open-hearted, meaningful. If you know a story that needs telling, get in touch. Write to dirtyLinen@deepintheweeds.com.au. Thank you for listening.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.